Okay. Hello, everybody. On behalf of the Center for Chinese Studies here at the University of Hawaii at Manoa, I would like to welcome you all to our Spring 2024 CCS webinar series. And today's session featured as a faculty dialogue on the topic, Building a World-Class Undergrad Education, a Quarter-Century Practice at Peking University, presented by our main speaker, Professor Dingbing from Peking University, who's currently a visiting scholar at our center. My name is Mingbao Yu, and I'm currently serving as the CCS director, but my home department is East Asian Languages and Literature, where I research and teach 20th century Chinese literature, film, and culture. I would also like to take this opportunity to introduce our new CCS staff that includes Associate Director Dr. Ni Zhang and academic support staff Nathan Yan, who both will monitor the chat forum and assist with any logistical queries you have about today's webinar session. Please note that we will be recording today's session and then upload the file to our YouTube channel, where you can also find previously recorded CCS webinar sessions in case you missed them. If you click on your chat forum tool now, you can see the link to our CCS YouTube channel displayed there. We have many more exciting CCS webinar sessions coming up this semester, and a copy of our full program flyer can be found on our CCS website, so please check it out. Today's session is kindly co-sponsored by the College of Education and the Departments of Educational Administration and Educational Foundation. Many thanks to our co-sponsors for their kind support. Before I introduce the organizer and moderator of today's session, Professor Di Xu, who will introduce all of our distinguished panelists, allow me to quickly go over some procedural reminders. Feel free to use the chat forum for posting any technical or other queries, but only use the Q&A tool for posting comments or questions to our speakers, which will be answered during the Q&A session. Don't wait until the end to submit your questions, because then we may run out of time to answer them. We kindly ask that you please keep your comments concise and ask no more than 2 questions so that we can accommodate everyone and keep within the 30 minutes we have allocated to the Q&A session. As much as possible, questions will be answered in the order they have been submitted, but we may also synthesize or group together similar questions in order to save time and make room for other comments and queries. We further reserve the right to dismiss comments and questions that are not relevant or civil in tone. After today's session, you will receive a brief survey, and we would greatly appreciate your constructive feedback. And now it's my great honor and pleasure to introduce the organizer and moderator of today's session, Professor Di Xu, who is a professor in the Department of Educational Foundations at the College of Education here at UH Manoa. She teaches and researches in the field of educational philosophy, multicultural and global education, and teacher education. And of course, she is an active, or she has been an active and regular participant of the UHM and Peking University exchange program for the past 20 years. So without further ado, I will turn over to Professor Xu.
Thank you very much, Mingbao and Aloha, for your nice introduction. Yeah. And welcome, everyone. It's wonderful to have all of you to be here. First of all, allow me to introduce our distinguished exchange professor, Professor Xing from Peking University. And Professor Xing actually currently is a professor and a deputy director in the Office of Educational Administration of Peking University. And then he has over 2 decades of important, distinguished profession, leadership in the Peking University for the past 20 years. He also worked as the vice dean of Yuanpei Program and also Yuanpei College later in the Peking University, and also served as the director in the provost office of Peking University. And as we all know, the world has changed, especially since the 21st century. Of all places in the world, China has transformed profoundly and powerfully and seriously. In educational reform, no place has had such a drastic, profound changing reforms. So this is a wonderful opportunity for us to truly, from Professor Jing's talk, to understand what actually happened, especially in Chinese effort in building world-class undergraduate education, and also how it happened and what's the meaning, where they are now, and in terms of their impact, not only in China, but also globally. Yeah. So without further delay, I'm going to turn to Professor Jing. And after Professor Jing's conversation and talk for 25 minutes, we also have two wonderful discussants, Dr. Chris Lucas and Dr. Mancha Sastasik. Yeah, and I will introduce them when it's their time. They each will have 10 minutes of sharing their insight and wisdom and also questions. At about 1 o'clock, we'll open up for your thoughtful, insightful questions. We'll have a very special scholarly discourse here. Yeah, Professor Jing, please. Yeah.
Thank you, Professor Xu, for your gracious introduction. And thank you, Professor Yu, for your offering me this opportunity. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you all colleagues and friends for your participation. Here I will talk about our efforts in the last 25 years in Peking University. Okay, I will share my presentation here. Can you see it? Can
yes, we can see it nicely.
It's nicely. Okay, thank you. Okay. First, let's have a quick overview of the university. Peking University was established in the late 19th century. After the centennial celebration in May 1998, the university initiated a plan to establish itself as a world-class institution. It was called the 985 because the May 1998 is called 985 project. This plan is a pivotal opportunity for the university's development. Currently, Peking University comprises 6 academic dimensions, including humanities, science, social science, engineering, earth science, etc. We provide more than 130 undergraduate programs and about 200 for master and doctoral degrees. We have about 3,800 full faculty members. They are recruited from the top scholars all over the world. Although the number of students grows into a very large size, but it is extremely difficult to get through the door to the university. For the undergraduate education, for the undergraduate admission, every year, only 3,000 top students from 10 million college entrance examinees have the chance. That means only 3 in 10,000. The university is also highly diversified. There are more than 7,000 international students from more than 100 countries. Peking University provides hundreds of courses in English, and there are also some full English taught graduate and undergraduate programs. The university has partnerships and exchanges with more than 400 universities in over 60 countries. As the pandemic passed, the university is striving to restore the pre-pandemic international exchange programs. And next, I will focus on my topic on undergraduate education. In China, before 1980s, it was the period of planned economy. Higher education was part of the planning process. Students were admitted to a specific specialty based on planned quota, and they were trained in disciplines as manpower for the economy. The number of students and courses for each subject was strictly planned, leaving no space for course selection or transferring between departments, even if a student was not interested in that subject. This system essentially operated as an industrialized mass production. It's a mass production line, treating students as tools with little emphasis on their personal interests and development. This is a sketch of the model. Students were admitted to a specified department. They took courses within the department and were assigned a job according to his or her specialty after graduation. I heard a lot of side stories about the students who were not interested in their subjects and had to drop out. In 1980s and the 1990s, we did some revisions, including revision in the curriculum, reducing required courses, increasing elective courses, and most departments merged into colleges and schools to enlarge the scope of the academic area. However, the overarching framework of recruiting and training students according to specific disciplines remained unchanged. In 1999, with the initiation of 1985 project aiming to build a world-class university, restructuring the undergraduate education system became a top priority. In the December of that year, the university established a strategic research group for undergraduate education, and I served as the liaison. The group comprised 8 senior professors and 7 young scholars, most of whom had foreign academic experience. Intense discussion took place within this group. However, most of them agreed that the education reform was necessary. In 2000 year, based on the group's recommendation, the university introduced a general education curriculum, required each student to take at least one course from each of 5 areas, with a particular emphasis on humanities. This development coincided with the time when UHM adopted its current general education curriculum. In 2001, the research group proposed a completely new model for undergraduate education, named the Yuanpei Program, after the esteemed President Tsai Yuanpei. Tsai Yuanpei, who visited UH in 1921, was the founder of the university motto of freedom of thought and inclusive. He was a very open president. The name Yuanpei is symbolic, where Yuan means the starting point and the origin, and Pei means cultivation. So Yuanpei together conveys the idea of cultivating students in a new model right from the beginning. So it's a totally new program. The program introduced the fundamental changes to the education approach. Students no longer need to choose a major upon entrance. During the initial years, they mainly take GE courses, and they have the liberty to choose courses across the entire campus. These arrangements allow students the freedom to explore various fields of study, expand their horizons, academic horizons, and tailor their education according to their own interests. In late years, students will take specialization courses to ensure in-depth training, in-depth understanding of their chosen field. Students from different majors could reside together, encouraging them to have a cross-disciplinary interaction. And the university engages academic mentors to provide guidance and support to students throughout their academic journey. And the program also allows students to stay in the university for a longer time, usually 4 years for other students. But this program proposed students can stay in the university for a longer time, providing the opportunity to correct any errors that may occur in their choosing. So this was a totally new model. However, there was strong oppositions to this model. The main concerns was that the students might lose the advantage of in-depth professional training because becoming jack of all trades and master of none. And there were also fears that popular majors like business might be overwhelmed, eroding the foundation of the university. The university is known for its academic training, academic talent cultivation. That's the foundation. So the professors, a lot of professors worried. So the administration of the university made a decision to set up a pilot class, not introduce the whole new system all across the campus. The first pilot class recruited 81 students. They were selected voluntarily from new students in various colleges and schools throughout interviews, and the pilot class totally adopted the new approach. Not surprisingly, the pilot class faced challenges. The pilot class offered the students the freedom to choose courses across the campus. However, some colleges or schools excluded Yuanpei students from specific classes and denied their access to their specialized libraries. Furthermore, existing administration systems, including the scheduling of courses and exams, persisted in using traditional approaches. This resulted in the scheduling conflicts for Yuanpei students. And the university had to make substantial efforts to pursue colleges and schools to support this reform. This comment does not work in the university. By the end of 2004, as the first pilot class approached graduation, I was appointed as the executive deputy director of the Yuanpei Program, with the duty to coordinate and resolve these challenges. In 2005, I invited a professor of education, Professor Chen, who got her PhD from Harvard Graduate School of Education at roughly the same time as Professor Xu. I asked Professor Chen to do a review of the educational experience of the first class. Chen and her team interviewed each student, documenting their feelings and reflections on their 4 years of study. Although the students complained that they were treated as guinea pigs, but they generally approved of the plan. A key phrase they used was that they learned to choose. Among the 81 students, a diverse range of 30 majors were chosen, with notable concentration in life science and physics, because these two colleges provide very good advising for students. And the high-scoring students from the National College Entrance Examination, who may have the flexibility to choose any major, but they ultimately opted for fundamental disciplines, such as Chinese, language and literature and history. After exploring various options during their time at the university, when the first class graduated, 58 of them got graduate school offers, including offers from Harvard, Columbia, and Caltech. This is not a bad number. I think it's not bad, a lot worse than the traditional model. In 2002, the university decided to admit students into Yuanpei Program directly through the National Quality Entrance Examination. This meant that the program would be assessed and evaluated by the prospective students and their parents. However, when the design of the program was revealed to the public, there was enthusiastic participation. Students with higher scores in the exam wanted to get entrance to this program. In 2005, the year the first pilot class graduated, the program admitted 156 students, including 17 who got the highest score of college entrance examination in their respective province. There are about 60 students nationally, totally 60, and 17 of the 16 students was admitted to the Yuanpei program. This number surpassed the previous best performing school of business at our university. So as the Yuanpei model was getting more popular, the specialized colleges or schools were concerned that the new education model might replace the traditional discipline-based recruitment and training approach. They posed various challenges. What they fear is loss of guaranteed students' enrollment. But they argued that they had their own academic culture, and if all undergraduate students were detached from the colleges and schools, they would lose the attention of academically oriented professors and receive insufficient guidance from professors. This was indeed a practical concern. In order to secure a space for the program's survival, I proposed that Peking University should allow diverse education models to coexist. This proposal somewhat elevated the tension. In 2007, the university established the Yuanpei College, ensuring the long-term existence of the Yuanpei model. From then on, the traditional model and the Yuanpei model coexist to this day, and the Yuanpei program keeps to be the most favorite of the students. As the pilot class was implemented, the traditional model has also been revised and gets close to the Yuanpei model. The university changed the admission model. First, nearly 100 majors were grouped into about 25 admission categories. Students only need to choose from these categories with the assurance of freedom of selecting courses and choose a major within these categories. And they will also revise the undergraduate curriculum, formally incorporating the general education courses and adding more selective courses for students to choose. In 2007, I was appointed as the Deputy Director of the Academic Affairs Office, with a primary responsibility to advocate for the university-wide implementation of the Yuanpei's policy and practice. My office established a mechanism for cross-college and school course sharing. Once the students fulfill their mandatory requirements, any remaining courses seats were open to students from other colleges and schools. And another challenge we addressed was providing students with the freedom to choose their majors. After extension negotiation and persuasion in 2017, at last, we successfully revised the student management regulations. The restrictions on students transferring across colleges and schools were removed, allowing students the freedom to transfer as long as they match the academic standards of the new school or college. We also reformed the scheduling method of classes and exams, totally resolved the problem of schedule conflicts, and introduced the summer courses so to provide more accommodations for students to tailor their own study schedules. Here is a sketch of the new system. In the new system, students are admitted into broader academic categories rather than specific majors. They have the flexibility to choose courses across the colleges and schools, and they are free to transfer among them. They can freely transfer. So the Yuanpei program, originally, we intended to break the walls between these schools, the colleges, but in the result, we established a Yuanpei college and dug 2 tunnels among other colleges and schools. This new system is not perfect, but it provides numerous paths for students to explore and to grow. This is the outline of our efforts. And the next are now both Tsinghua University and Peking University has announced they are now world-class universities, but we don't take that seriously. However, Chinese universities have seen significant improvement in the recent years. What Peking University and other universities have achieved in recent years, as well as the development in other sectors in China, provide rich topics and materials for scholars to explore. Here, I share some of my personal observations very briefly. First, I think the change in Peking University is a shift from a planned to a market-oriented mechanism. As students have the freedom to choose their majors in the course, teachers and colleges are motivated to provide better education programs and opportunities to attract the students. All the students may opt to leave. The students can vote with their fate. This new mechanism may contribute to enhancing the quality of education. However, the market system also has its flaws. First, students' choice of majors may be swayed by recent market trends. And education is a long-term process. The short-term market performance may not accurately reflect long-term market demands. Moreover, basic disciplines linking short-term market value are crucial for preserving cultural and academic heritage. So special arrangements and efforts are required to safeguard the intellectual legacy. In this context, Peking University is lucky because we have the best students of the nation. And over 2 decades of practice have shown that most of our students have academic pursuits and not willing to sacrifice their aspirations for short-time market gains. Additionally, we provide honor programs to counterbalance this kind of short-term market-oriented behavior. Another issue of market mechanism is people often talk about is that students may explore their freedom of course selection to choose easier courses with high grades, aiming for a favorable position in subsequent academic or job competition. The professors was said may tend to lower academic standards and grading criteria to attract more students to their class. This issue of easy courses and grade inflation have become hot topics of discussion. And now, presently, I am leading a research group to analyze the severity of this phenomenon. The change at Peking University also reflects a transformation in educational philosophy. The Yuanpei Program provides students with the freedom for personal development, offering opportunities for students to grow according to their individualities. This shift mirrors the evaluation of education from an industry model to an agricultural model. Every sower is a seed. Education is the process of watering and nurturing rather than modeling mere tools. The value of life has been respected, and the individuality has been honored in the new model. During the 5th anniversary of celebration of Yuanpei Program, the learned president of Peking University, Professor Xu Zhihong, delivered a speech. Although I drafted the speech, the most inspiring part was added by President Xu himself. He said, "I believe universities are not factories. I prefer the university to be a garden. As a botanist, I hope to see a diverse campus. In our university campus, there were various wild plants and numerous shrubs. The university's mission is to cultivate the best soil, enabling every student to root into the finest plant, perhaps a lovely little grass, maybe a beautiful flower, a exquisite shrub, or even a towering tree. If this happens, I believe our university will be a successful one." What we did in the last 25 years at Peking University is to cultivate the best soil for our students to grow. Thank you. That's all.
Wonderful. Mahalo, Professor Zing, and please join me, and thank Professor Zing for his wonderful talk. Yeah, gave us a very impressive case study to showcase how and why this happened, and then both the achievements as well as the challenges. And all right, yeah, mahalo. Thank you once again, Professor.
Thank you.
For sharing. And then Professor Jing actually is not just the participant, he lead all the way. And we all know, even in our own small department, if we want to make a little change curriculum-wise, it's very challenging. Yeah, not to say the paperwork, but also the real challenges, considerations, complexities. But in Peking University, the equivalent of it's the Harvard in China, and it's really rising in the whole world. And this not only happened, but also it was sustained and still expanding for a quarter of a whole century. Bravo, thank you. Yeah. Now I'm going to turn to our first discussant, Dr. Chris Lucas. Dr. Chris Lucas currently serves as an associate professor and the department chair for education administration at the College of Education, University of Manoa. His research interests include leadership in higher education and specifically in student services, social justice, and higher education partnerships. Chris earned his PhD in education administration, higher education at the UHM, University of Manoa, in 2009. And we have worked for 2 decades together. Yeah, he is really student-focused and then most thoughtful and kind. He's a perfect person for this as a commentator and a discussant for Professor Zing. And Chris also served as a resident life leader for over 10 years. Chris, please take over. Mahalo. Thank you for being here on this panel.
Well, thank you so much. And yes, it's a real privilege to be here as well. Looking forward to sharing a few brief thoughts related to Professor Jin's presentation, and then a few kind of related connecting points from American higher education. So let me start my screen. Hopefully, folks can see that.
Yeah, it's nicely on. Thank you. Very colorful, very Hawaiian.
And so I wanted to share kind of the two parts. So one, I'll provide some brief reactions to the information Professor Jen shared. And then again, I'll try to connect some related points from Hawaii and the US education models. So initially, I will say undergoing any form, as Dee suggests, for productive change is a challenge. So I would certainly recognize this first and foremost, that to lean into an emphasis around improvement at both the micro and the macro level is a really great place to start. And as you can hear from the several slides from Professor Jin, there's a slow and steady progress. And so these practices are showing promise right from the very beginning. And then lastly, in reaction, I think it's really important to maintain that focus of continuous improvement over time. And again, Professor Jen has referenced several times how Peking University has made efforts to respond to kind of what is never a straight line path towards success, but ways in which you can have interventions along time and continue to make improvements. So all in all, it's an impressive start and an ongoing practice. And so I look forward to hearing more about how that Yuanpei program continues to move forward. So I wanted very briefly also to set some context for Hawaii that makes it such a amazing institution to work for and place to be a part of as an educator. So the special place is historically collectivist culture, perhaps similar to China and many other places across the globe. We have about 1 million people that reside within various island chains, where that geography is really challenging for educational practice. So we have populations of folks separated by parts of the ocean, and obviously infrastructure creates some unique challenges for Hawaii. We have relatively few higher education institutions overall, but UH serves as the lone public 10-campus system. And I thought it was really important also to mention today briefly that today marks the 131st anniversary of the overthrow of the monarchy in Hawaii. And on this date exactly, in January 17th, 1893. So shifting gears a bit to connect it to American higher education. So I'll note kind of 3 pieces. They are beginnings, overview, and then where we reside today. So American higher education had very humble beginnings as it got started in small pockets around the northeast coast of the United States, where institutions developed to serve just small pockets of folks towards degree and educational efforts, really in the realm of religion. And so as we move forward, obviously the American system has just expanded tremendously. It has, over time, historically been, for the most part, a market-driven system. where emphasis is more for personal gain, personal good, as opposed to maybe more public-oriented good or gains. And so in some ways, we've sort of seen the realities of those emphasis points over time. And then my last point to note is that at this stage, American higher education institutions, several of them have been considered world-class institutions and universities, and that's in consideration of more of a global environment. So from, again, maybe very humble starts, U.S. educational settings have kind of moved forward in some good directions. I want to consider what we heard earlier today, as well as some common notes in relating to American higher ed and education in Hawaii. So my first point has already been shared, but it's worth repeating. Higher ed change, challenging and slow. And so as we think about institutions making shifts, particularly of a dramatic nature and an expansive nature from what PKU has been doing, this is sort of the expected reality in some ways. And in particular, it's the same at American higher ed institutions. So institutions can, I believe, fully operate with these both private and public good realities, whether it's helping us create good neighbors, good citizens, good communicators, or also folks who have high technical vocational skills and abilities. So institutions often have this push-pull reality of private and public goods. But I would suggest that they can exist together. And then lastly, in terms of my key points, I am really excited to see and hear the demonstration of what a university could be from Xu Zhizhong, and that metaphor of a garden and the reality of what it means to cultivate soil, emphasize student learning, and to allow students to grow and develop in their own special and impactful ways. That metaphor is really powerful for me, and one that I would certainly echo as a reality or a needed reality for all of our institutions across the globe. So I'll leave my contact information up. You're welcome to reach out to me. I do have some questions, but I'll hold and kind of wait to see what we have in store coming up in the future. But many thanks again for the opportunity to share a few thoughts.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Chris. Yeah, truly appreciate it. And then we also appreciate it's wonderful, to see you and Professor Zing connect, and globally also, continue this important discussion and scholarly dialogue. And now it's my great joy to introduce Dr. Mancha Starsik. And she actually got her PhD in educational foundations. And she has significant international global traveling experiences and all over the different continents, actually, very experienced. She also is very well published in the global education arena. And currently, she is a lecturer in educational foundations, but also she is educational evaluation specialist at the Center of Disability Studies at the College of Education. Yeah, Mancha, please take over. Welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Didi, for a very nice introduction. Aloha, everyone. Let me start first by thanking Dr. Shin and the moderator for this opportunity to comment on the issue of China's higher education transformation in the context of international and global education. This is something that I'm most familiar with. So in what follows, I will comment on China's internationalization, as well as the challenges of globalization and neoliberalism that come with it. First, we need to acknowledge the significant progress that China has made in recent years in developing world-class universities, as is also evidenced in the growing reputation of its own institutions and by the increasing number of Chinese international students studying abroad. As an example, the US has seen a significant increase of Chinese students flocking to its campuses, with 1 out of 3 international students coming from China, which positions China as the top sending nation of international students to the US. For this to happen, we need to acknowledge the role of internationalization in this overall transformation, which also has boosted China's global university rankings in recent years. Second, I want to touch upon some of the challenges that come with such transformation and that are affected by the forces of globalization and more specifically neoliberalism. Since the 1980s, the prevalence of neoliberal logics and the widespread ideology of a free market economy has driven higher education institutions to expand more globally. This neoliberal influence has profoundly impacted educational politics and policies that have positioned education closer to a Western model, which also could be seen in Dr. Jin's example and presentation today. It is clear that Chinese universities aim to enhance the global competitiveness of their higher education. And for this, internationalization serves as one of the key strategies. While international collaborations based on a Western model of higher education aim to advance education, cultural understanding, exchange, as well as economic development, unequal power dynamics are driven by neoliberalism and can threaten some of these goals. So the market-driven ideology is seen as prioritizing economic competitiveness and privatization, potentially marginalizing the humanities and non-Western institutions. So as China actively internationalizes its higher education system, we should acknowledge and address these imbalances for creating a more equitable and sustainable global education landscape. That being said, I would also like to touch upon the shift from planned to market-oriented majors, which was mentioned in Dr. Jin's presentation, by drawing some parallels to what's happening currently in American universities. We need to critically analyze the impact of neoliberal ideologies on the prioritization of certain disciplines, that is science majors over others, especially humanities, and the role of business model of education. So what we have observed in the past 2 decades in the US is a sharp decline in majors and programs in humanities, which paints a pretty bleak picture with economic realities, political pressures, and market-driven forces fueling this issue. We have observed, for example, a major shift to STEM. Students chase perceived financial benefits and job security through enrolling in STEM majors or transferring later on in college, leading to humanities enrollment plummeting. Next, students prefer to choose practical degrees with immediate career potential, and fiscal challenges force universities to prioritize this high demand and market-driven programs, which squeezes out smaller humanities departments. But there are also political and global influences at play, such as, and this is the American context here. So federal hiring emphasizes skills over degrees, which again marginalizes humanities graduates. But speaking more globally, we have observed a global tech race that is a fear of falling behind in technological advancements that push for more STEM education. So the university's response is largely in cutting non-revenue generating humanities programs to invest in more lucrative science fields, and even humanities departments shifting their service to provide more marketable skills. So finally, higher education institutions, both in the US as well as in China, should advocate for a more diverse and nuanced approach to internationalization that goes beyond mere market dynamics and global competition. So focusing more on collaboration, cultural exchange, mutual learning, rather than solely emphasizing economic benefits or Western educational models and Western ways of knowing. And so I would like to just reiterate the importance of China's higher education transformation in light of its internationalization, but at the same time emphasize the need for a critical reflection on the role of neoliberalism and its potential challenges in a global context. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mahalo Mancha. Yeah. Very thoughtful, very concise analysis, but also very thoughtful. You connect Professor Jin's talk with the US context and global context and highlight the real serious issues. And all, the directions we need to consider, ponder, and expand and improve. Yeah, Mahalo, thank you so much. I truly appreciate that. All right. And now we are exactly wonderful teamwork here. We're exactly, on schedule. Yeah, Mingbao was so organized. She actually typed the minute, each minute we should, everyone should have allocated. And then we're exactly on the button. We're ready to open up for question and answers. Yeah. So we have 2 questions right now. Yeah. And then in the Q&A, and now I'm going to go through the 2 questions first, and then get to other new questions. The first one actually from Professor Roger Ames. Aloha, Roger. Mahalo for being here. Yeah, and then let's see. Ni, can you see the question at this time? Yeah. So somehow it disappeared from my Q&A reading list.
So you have to go to answer. And the question is already in the chat.
Yeah. So the question is, what data is available, Professor Jin, that's for you. What data is available on the career path of the graduates of Yuanpei Program or Yuanpei College? In the early 2000s, I recall that about 1/3 of Beida's undergraduates would go abroad for further study. So what's your experience? What are your data? Thank you.
Yeah, okay. Maybe some connection problems. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah.
Okay.
And then, Ni, would you please post the question of Rogers and in our chat so our other participants will be able to see.
Okay.
It's already posted.
Okay, thank you.
I can see the question. Okay. In the earlier years of 21st century, there are the students who went abroad to further their education is much smaller than nowadays. Nowadays, there are about each year, 1/3 of our undergraduate students will go abroad. But these 2 years, 3 years, because of the pandemic, the number goes down. Formerly in the 2080s, 2090s, 2019, 2018, there are about 700 of our students will go abroad, and 900 of our students will go to graduate school domestically, and other 1,050 or 40 students were they were I'm sorry, the number is wrong. The number in the earlier years when Yuanpei was initiated, much smaller students were go abroad. I'm not sure did I answer the question.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so that is the trend that I can see. I mean, also after COVID, especially right now, I mean, even students from China would like to come to US. It has been very challenging to get the visa process, and then because of the international global politics, make it more challenging. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. There's a huge difference. At the beginning, there's a lot. I remember when I graduated. Before we even graduated, a third of our classmates would already, coming abroad to study. And then after graduation, another third has left, and only 1/3 remain in China. Over the years, they trickling out. So very few are still in China, but nowadays, has changed drastically. Thank you very much. And then the second question, thank you for raising this question. The question is, Beida and Tsinghua coordinate their undergraduate reform efforts. Are they the same or different, right? There seem to be some parallel progress. To what extent are these reforms reflected in other Chinese colleges and universities? Thank you, Professor Zi.
Okay. Beida and Tsinghua are close each other, and we we have competitions for recruiting students, but we the two university, the administration of two universities often come together to discuss questions about education. It's very interesting. We coordinated to initiate the 985 project. Any university alone cannot get that project, cannot get that support from the government, but we work together and we can get that. For undergraduate education, it's very different from Beida and Tsinghua. Tsinghua is famous for its engineering. Peking University is for its basic discipline as science, social science, and humanities. So the educational model may be very different. We did the Yuanpei program first, and we recruited students enlarge the category of recruiting students from a major to a college or even a bigger category. But Tsinghua kept it track for a longer time. But later years, in about 2009 or 2010, Tsinghua also wants to change its model. It also now Tsinghua established a lot of residential colleges and admit students to the residential college and learn that students to choose their major in these years. And the other universities, colleges also follow the Yuanpei program. In Fudan University, Fudan University established a Fudan College. The Fudan College admitted the new students, freshmen, and learned the students can stay in the college for 2 years, the freshman and the sophomore year, and learn they were go to the special discipline-based colleges or schools. And Zhejiang University, that is also a very famous university. It grouped its admission measures into about 7 categories, very even larger than the category in Peking University is about more than 100 undergraduate majors into 7 categories. And learn students can take courses within that category and choose major within that category. Other university, many university follow the Yuanpei program. So the Yuanpei program is beginning, and there are not of big changes in universities around China these days.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Professor Zing. And it's wonderful to know the relationship between Beida and Tsinghua to teamwork, work together. And as both universities leading the Chinese educational reform in higher education. And also it's wonderful to hear other important universities in China. So what happens in Yuanpei is not isolated. There is literally a wave, yeah, and expanding. It's also interesting to see the, Beida and Tsinghua informally, people also talk about, yes, your teamwork, but somehow because the subject, the students, everything are all very different. There's a friendly rivalry, yeah, what Beida is doing, what Tsinghua is doing. And actually, Zhang Laoshi, when I visited Beida as an exchange professor just last month, mentioning the phenomenon of the Tsinghua graduates or students and the Beida students. If Tsinghua students meet, everyone show up on time. And then if it's Beida students meet, maybe they will show up like in, like trickling in at the different times. They have more freedom, creativity, the openness. Maybe they will all get there in 2 hours. So that's a very interesting anecdote. All right, to our next question. Yeah, thank you for posting it. This question is, does Beida feel that it has a commitment to a classical Chinese humanity curriculum? So since we are Center for Chinese Studies and then the biggest outside of China, so this question is very important for many of our faculty and students.
Yeah, yes, that's a very good question. And actually, Beida has its commitment to classic Chinese humanities, also Western classics. In Peking University is famous for its history studies, philosophy, and Chinese literature and Western literature. So when we introduced the program of general education, the students have to take courses from 5 areas, and the 3 areas of them are history, philosophy, and literature. And that put a very important emphasis on humanities. And after that, we for students to attract students to humanities, we established a new program. It's called the Classic Studies, and it recruits students from all over the campus. This is a cross-disciplinary project program. I didn't talk that today, but this is another part of our effort to build the world-class education in Beida. We set up a lot of cross-disciplinary studies programs for our students, and classic studies, including the West classics and the Chinese classics are provided for our students. And every year, about 30 top students registered in this program, and many of them are very, very good. And in Beida, many students, we provide this kind of students research fund. Our honor program provide research fund for our students they can do their research, they become academic and under the guidance of our professors. In Peking universities, I think it's somewhat different from universities in United States. The professors in Beida, they they have very close connection with undergraduate students, and they were they will look after which students may be interested in his area and learn the students may be the candidates for his graduate studies, and learn they also send them abroad to broaden their academic horizon and learn, come back to Peking University as scholars. So this is there is a kind of transmission from professors to students. There's a connection, a very close connection, and especially in humanities studies. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Zing. Share and highlighted the most important, efforts and also outcomes in your educational reform, in Peking University. One thing I also noticed, in Chinese educational reform, the humanities, the foundations are very well supported and then expanded. That is one thing I believe in US and the other part of the world really need to pay attention. It's not all about, STEM and technology. It's the philosophy underlying how to use those technologies and STEMs that matters a great deal. Mahalo. And the word of interdisciplinary is so essential nowadays for anything to be effective, because the word come together and everything holistically is all connected. So for educational to be effective and sustainable, that is the key. And many times we talk about, in addition to the interdisciplinary, we also need to have a transdisciplinary or create a new disciplinaries, or even, philosophies and foundations. Thank you. That's powerful. And then we have a question from, Chris here, and let's see. Oh, yeah. Looking for the question from Chris. The question is, Peking University has undergone significant curriculum change recently. What surprises or unanticipated positive results have occurred, or any results that have occurred positive or challenging?
I'm not sure I get the idea of this question. What kind of?
Basically, it's the curriculum has changed in Yuanpei program. There's a lot of curriculum change. So how has that impacted the students? What are the positive outcomes?
Oh yeah, okay. The Yuanpei curriculum provide students more chance to take courses across the campus, and this broaden their eyes. And so in the when the first pilot class of Yuanpei graduated, we do a survey to students, and the 8% of the students said that they benefit from the general education courses. And learn the general education courses was available to all the students in our university, and the students think that's every year we have a survey for our graduates in the fourth year of their study. We do a survey, and most of the students think that's good for them and for them. And I think the general education courses provide them the chance to explore different areas, and think most of the students may have better fit to the major they choose. Formerly, we decided that only 55% students say they loved their major. And after that, in recent years, about 8% of our students said that they are interested in their majors. And that's also a big change. And for the graduates, Yuanpei was initiated 20 years ago, so they are not analyzed. But I don't have the data of the alumni survey. But I noticed that there are some scholars already begin to demonstrate their advantages. Some of them are very famous now. I think that's it.
Yeah, that's very good. That's very helpful. Thank you. And then the next question comes from Wensheng Wang, Professor Wang here. And then we have one more question afterwards. Then that's going to be our last question. Two more questions. Yeah, we'll finish in 10 minutes. So from Wensheng, yeah, Professor Jing, the question is, over the past 2 or 3 decades, yeah, for the past 20 years or so, many Chinese universities like Wuhan and Tsinghua have been trying to develop their liberal arts education through different pilot programs, because originally they're more focused on science and technology. Now they are expanding their liberal arts education. And then the question is, how does the development of Yuanpei Program in Beida or Yuanpei College in Beida benefit from this process? And how does it contribute to China's reform in liberal arts education during the 21st century?
Oh, I think the other universities, when they develop their educational reform programs, many of them came to Beida, and we exchange our ideas. Because so the Wuhan University and Tsinghua University and Fudan University, we have some for the administrators. Every year we exchange our reform together. So Yuanpei also benefit from the ideas of the other universities. And when Yuanpei is known, it's difficult to promote the program. But when many universities work together and the Yuanpei program was recognized and supported by more and more students, parents, and scholars. So the program went more smoothly in Beida, and it get more support from the administration of Beida. There's a lot of debate for Yuanpei, the Yuanpei model. Even today, there are still some professors, some administrators are skeptical to Yuanpei model, but more and more colleges and schools are now recognize that Yuanpei model is a very good model for them. And I know that some dean of our colleges send their children to Yuanpei program. So Yuanpei program benefit from the the ideas and they work together with other universities to promote the reform in China. I think so.
Yeah, that's very good. That shows the impact. So the proof of the pudding is in the eating. Yeah, so that shows how successful it has been. The last question here from the audience also related to this, also tie in with your title, Professor Zing. The question is, what impact has the fact that Beida has begun rising in the global rankings had on Beida? So, since Beida is the world-class university, so what's the impact for Beida, not only for the world, right?
Okay, I personally don't take that ranking seriously. And for Beida, formerly, yeah, we say that is not serious, that's not so important. But when we ranked not good, we have to work hard to ranking better. But when we rank better, we rank high, we don't care it. It's nonsense. So what benefit for the ranking for Peking University? I think, yeah, the university make a lot of efforts to improve its education. And also, I think the ranking also benefit from the research result from our professors. The ranking usually take consider of the research, the quantity and the citations of research papers. That's important factors. In recent years, the papers published by our professors increased a lot, and the research environment and the research conditions got much improved because of the 985 project. And the government continuously support my university to do that. That's very important. First, we know that the 985 project was 3 years, and now more than 20 years, 25 years passed, and we still get that kind of foundation from the government. That's very important. And the university, the professors, the research quality and quantity improved. That's important. And the other factors that the ranking emphasizes that how your students perform after graduation, and we get that score very good. So I think these two parts, research and education, both contribute to the improvement of our ranking. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Professor Jing. And with that, with all great things, we all need to end. And this is only an infinite new beginning. And for this educational discourse to be continued. Yeah. So again, a round of applause for Professor Jing. And then also join me to thank Chris Lucas, Dr. Lucas, and Mancha Sastarasik. And also my thanks go to Mingbao, who organized the whole panel, and Tuo Ti, just very detailed, and great leadership. And then for Ni and Nathan, putting so much effort behind the scenes. Mahalo. And Mingbao, without further delay, I turn it to you to make the closing remarks.
Thank you very much. Unfortunately, we're running out of time, but obviously we could go on for another hour on this very important and topic, right? But before we close today's session, I would like to announce our next CCS webinar session on January 31st, which will be a book launch for Dr. Eng Lee, who is an assistant professor, East Asian History at University of Texas at Dallas, and his new book, Betting on the Civil Service Examinations, the Lottery in Late Qing China. And this was published by Harvard University Asia Center Press in 2023. So last but not least, on behalf of CCS, many thanks to all our distinguished panelists today for joining our CCS webinar. Professor Xu for excellent moderating, Professor Jing for his very informative, insightful presentation, and Drs. Lucas and Sustasis for their insightful comments. To our audience, many thanks for your attendance and your engaging questions. And please remember to fill out the short survey, and see you next week. Bye-bye. I'm sorry, January 31st.
Mahalo. Thank you. To be continued. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
very
Have a
much.
beautiful day, everyone. Yeah.
Nathan, can you